So 3 years ago, I figured out, like, I had just started, like, the youth group. I didn't really know a lot of people. I knew Anna because we were in the same year. I was really nervous to start youth group because I was like, well, I don't really know anybody, and, like, are we gonna, like, bond, really, and what are we gonna do? I had never really heard about youth group like, when we were in Sunday school. I started the youth group, and I actually really liked it. It was really fun. I felt totally comfortable with the people that came regularly, like me, Anna, and like Karina and Ethan. Well, I didn't really know anybody else that like didn't normally come to youth group. So when I figured out we were going to Texas, I didn't really know like what the gathering was. I was kind of like, I don't know, I was excited, but I was also kind of nervous because the closer it got, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be in this like whole nother state, like practically across the country. I could get lost, like I might not be able to sleep at all. Like, I don't know, I'm just kind of like freaked out. So I figured out that I was in a room with Amy. So we get to Houston and like we're in our rooms, and I was like really nervous. I was like, well, I don't really, like, it's not that I don't like Amy, I just don't know Amy. So we got there, and me and Amy, we like really bonded. The more like the youth group hung out, we bonded way more throughout the week. Like from like our Uber drives that were like competitions between like the groups that we had, in like ordering pizza at night that never came. It was really cool to see that like we came together, and like a lot of us didn't know each other very well, and we left Texas like, and we were like all best friends, and it was amazing to see that something that great can happen in a week, and it was like really cool. Yeah.
This whole story all began on Synod Day.
We were all given these blue rocks with the name Jesus on them. And so we were all told to put our names on them. We then put these rocks in a bucket, and the bishop had us take one from the bucket after everyone put those in it. And so we would take it out, and we'd have a random name on the bucket, on the rock. And then we would pray for the name on that rock. And then once I had my rock, I prayed for the name. We all talked about it. And then we had a little bit of free time. So I hid the rock in my hand, in my fist, like this. I went up to Ethan and I said, let's play rock, paper, scissors. And so I went, rock, paper, scissors, Jesus. And I revealed the rock with the name Jesus on the front. And then later that night, we were talking, and someone asked what time it was. And so I had hidden the rock in my wristband for a while. And then I went up to them. I said, hey, and I opened the wristband and revealed the name Jesus, and I said, it's always Jesus time.
Nice, okay. So we were in the Natural Science Museum, and we were all walking around, and then I accidentally bumped one of the cases, and Emma said, watch out, we're on a Jesus trip. But Aidan didn't quite understand what she said. Aidan said,
we're always on the Jesus trail. And then later on the trip, I combined the two quotes, it's always Jesus time, and we're always on the Jesus trail too. It's always Jesus time on the Jesus trail.
Nice.
And then this became a theme throughout the rest of the trip, even though it began as a joke. It has a deeper meaning. God always guides you in life, and saying that it's always Jesus time is showing that Jesus is always with you, and that because you're always on the Jesus trail, God's always guiding you and showing you the right path to take.
Okay. But because we're always on the Jesus trail, it's important to understand that this trail that we're mentioning here, it's the path of service that at least that we like to take here in this church. We always love going places and doing things. That's what the Jesus trail is. It's just a metaphor for the service we do. It's, God's work, our hands. That's what it's called. We just changed it to a metaphor and had fun with it.
So, as you leave today, please always remember that it's always Jesus time on the Jesus Trail. 10 out of 10.
That was nice.
Let's
All
go
right,
home.
I'm gonna call it off.
When we first got assigned to our work groups, we didn't realize we'd be working with young kids. But when we got to the YMCA Center, we were set up with this small table group with 3 young Hispanic girls. At first they weren't talking very much, and we didn't know how we were going to be able to communicate with them or play games. Then they started talking to themselves in Spanish, and I had been taking Spanish classes, so I asked them a question in Spanish, and they immediately started engaging.
And then we started playing games with them, and then they started talking to each other, and they were talking to us, and then they started talking to us in Spanish, and then they started making fun of James in Spanish, and then it was time to give them books. And then at the end, the youth director was telling us about how those 3 girls hardly ever talked to each other and anybody else.
When they told us that, I immediately thought that would have been sort of like a face of God moment. It's just something that doesn't usually happen, and it was pretty unique.